Hello and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle, up to the top of a snow-capped mountain and on country trails. Watopia is where the Zwift developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Hello and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle, up to the top of a snow-capped mountain and on country trails. Watopia is where the Zwift developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Hello and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle. Developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Film My Run on Zwift. My name is Stephen Cousins and we are broadcasting live on Facebook and on YouTube. While we're getting everything ready, it would be absolutely awesome if you could go and subscribe to the Film My Run YouTube channel and also the Zwift Live YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/filmmyrun and also Twitter at filmmyrun, and the website is www.filmmyrun.com. It's very nearly time, so sit back, relax, don't forget to drop me a ride on and watch me do all the hard work. Okay, welcome to a slightly different evening's entertainment. Whether it'll be entertainment or not, I don't know. We're trying to do something vaguely serious. We've got two things I want to show you today. So we're not racing. We're not running any races. We're not taking part in a workout. But I will be doing some running. First thing I've just noticed is I haven't got my heart rate on. Jason Mitchell says a bit of a disaster on the treadmill. The treadmill packed up on Wednesday workout cool down. A whole different kind of crash. Oh no. Yeah, no, it's bad enough when Zwift itself crashes, but then when your own device, your own treadmill crashes, then that's really no good. Let me just put my heart rate on, and then I'll tell you what we're doing. I do like to have a bit of heart rate going on, so let's do that. Right, that's the Ant Plus, but I want the Bluetooth one. And the Bluetooth one sometimes takes a little bit longer to arrive. There it is. That's my Phoenix 6 watch using the virtual run profile. Okay. Paul Carter says, good evening. Tina Beard says, this should be fun. Yeah. Wonder Archer, hello to you. Okay. Right, the first thing I'm going to explain to you is kind of the overall thing that we're doing, which is I'm on the track. I've created a meetup. So I've gone to the Zwift companion app. I've created a meetup. Let me just put this on so you can see. I've created a meetup. I've invited my friends Stryd 1 and Stryd 2. I'm wearing Stryd 1 on my left foot and Stryd 2 on my right foot. Stryd 2 is the modern wind Stryd, and Stryd 1 is the older original, well, not the original Stryd, because that was a chest strap, believe it or not, but the original, the kind of older Stryd version, the one before the wind. So I've got an older Stryd and a wind Stryd. They're attached to my feet, but before we do anything, I want to show you how to calibrate your treadmill. So that's what we're going to do first. If you have a treadmill and you are not entirely convinced of its speed, then this is a way to calibrate your treadmill. You're not actually going to change the speed of the belt or the motor, but what you are going to do is be able to work out when the treadmill says you're going at 10 kilometers an hour, are you actually going at 10 kilometers an hour, or is the belt going slightly slower or slightly faster, or massively slower or massively faster? So this is a way to do that. Now, what I've done, the first thing I did, a steel tape measure. So if we turn to camera 3, and I'll just move the treadmill back a bit. Right, on the floor there, you might be able to see this massive white paint mark. Now the reason that's there is because I tried this coloured tape, that came off. I tried this gold parcel wrapping tape, that came off. I've tried packing tape, what's it called, gaffer tape, that came off. I eventually gave up and decided I'm just going to paint the treadmill. So I've painted a massive white mark on the treadmill. Now you'll see in a moment why it's so big. Then what I've done is I've taken the tape measure and I've taken a mark on the ground. So let me go back to camera 3. So we've taken from, why is it blurred? It shouldn't be, don't be blurred, come on, don't be blurred. Hello. Okay, so let's say we take the measurement from there to the end of this white mark. I measure as far as I can to the end of the treadmill belt, and then I move the treadmill round. So I'll move it round and then take another measurement from the point that I measured to and back to the top of the treadmill. And then take another point until we get back to the white mark. And we know that we've gone all the way around the treadmill belt. So we've taken 2 or 3 separate marks. I mean, I've just done it quickly there. I haven't really done it properly. But just to show you the idea, take 2 or 3 separate marks with your tape measure around the belt until you come back to the same place. So when you get back to that place, you'll know that you've gone all the way around the belt. You know that you've measured the entire length of the belt. Now, for reference, the treadmill belt that I'm using is 2.97 meters long, 297 centimeters long, and that will become important shortly when we do some maths. Okay, the way that you measure the treadmill belt then is to do 1 minute of running or walking, and counting the number of revolutions of the belt. And the way we count the revolutions is we count how many times that white mark there, how many times that passes by my foot as we walk. So we're going to start off very slowly. We're going to start off at 4 kilometers per hour on the treadmill. So that will come up here. It'll be 4 kilometers an hour, and we're going to count 1 minute of time. How am I going to do that actually? I'll have to do it right. I'll do it looking at my watch. We're going to count 1 minute of time, and we're going to count how many times the white mark passes under my foot or by my foot there. Okay. Now let me just make sure that all my strides are working. Not that it doesn't matter just yet, really. Let's get the treadmill going then. Okay, the treadmill is moving. Get it up to 4 kilometers per hour, and we'll give it a minute to just settle at that pace. You see my Stryd foot pods are following me diligently behind. Bless them. Okay. And then I'm going to start the watch. Well, I've already started the watch, but I'll kind of tell you when I'm starting counting my minutes. So we're just going to walk at this pace for 1 minute. Starting in 8 seconds. 1. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, nearly there, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so 23. So that was 1 minute of walking. We counted 23 revolutions of the belt. So now we're going to do some mathematics. Not very good at maths, so bear with me. I'm just going to turn the music down a bit. Hang on. I'm not very good at maths, so I've got Alexa here to help me. Here's Alexa, look. So remember, the belt length was 2.97. We did 23 revolutions in 60 seconds. So here's what we do. Alexa, what is 2.97 multiplied by 23 divided by 60?
2.97 times 23 divided by 60 is 1.1385.
1.1385. That is meters per second. 1.1385 meters per second. Alexa, what is 1.1385 meters per second in kilometers per hour?
1.13 is 4.099 kilometers.
4.099 kilometers per hour. So let's round it up to 4.01 kilometers per hour. That's not bad, is it? So I was walking at 4 kilometers per hour, and we counted 23 revolutions. We multiplied that by the length of the belt, and we divided it by the time, which was 60 seconds, and we have a result of just over 4 kilometers, just marginally over 4 kilometers per hour. 10 meters, say, let's say 10 meters. So not bad at all. And arguably what we're saying is this treadmill belt loaded with me on it is still moving fast, just a bit faster than 4 kilometers per hour. Right, so let's now up our game a bit. I don't want to go too fast, but let's go up to 10 kilometers per hour, and I'm going to count again the number of revolutions of the belt in 60 seconds at 10 kilometers per hour. So let's start the treadmill. We'll get it up to 10 kilometers per hour. Oh, a bit faster. There we go. Right, so you can see the treadmill is reading 10 kilometers per hour. You can see that white mark going past me there. So I'm just going to wait till I get to the right point, and then I will start counting. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. $57. So we're going to do the maths again. 57 revolutions of the belt. Alexa, what is 2.97 multiplied by 57 divided by 60?
2.97 times 57 divided by 60 is 2.8215.
2.8215. 2.8215, okay. Alexa, what is 2.8215 meters per second in kilometers per hour?
2.8215 meters per second is 10.16 kilometers per hour.
10.16 kilometers per hour. So getting a bit faster. 10.16 kilometers an hour. So oddly, you would think that the weight of my body on the treadmill would slow the belt down, and it would have, the motor would have a bit more trouble turning, and so it would actually be slightly slower than the treadmill. There might be some margin for error there, but the display on my treadmill is reading 10 kilometers per hour, and we have done a mathematical calculation. Slight margin of error possibly, but 10.1, was it 10.16? 10.16 kilometers an hour, so faster than, so I'm actually running faster. Well, we'll talk about this a bit more in a minute, but what you could argue is that you are running faster on this treadmill than that display is saying. So I'm running 10 kilometers an hour, but actually I'm running 10.16 kilometers per hour. I'll do one more, shall I? Please feel free, by the way, if you're watching and you're on Facebook or YouTube, I'm watching Facebook and YouTube chat and Twitch chat. If you want to ask me a question, if you've got a problem with the way I'm doing the test, if you want to ask me anything, then please fire away. I am looking at chat. Paul Carter, good evening. I can see what you're saying, so if you want to say hello or if you want to ask me a question, please do. So we've done 4 kilometers an hour, which read at 4.01 kilometers an hour. We've done 10 kilometers an hour, which read actually at 10.16 kilometers an hour. So let's just do 15 kilometers an hour. Okay. So 9.5 miles an hour, something like that. We'll do that the last one, because that's then getting quite difficult to count the number of revolutions of the belt. You'll see why we need a big white mark so that we can see it going past. So we'll do that now. So this is the last one of these tests, just to prove to you how accurate or inaccurate my treadmill is. So we're going to go at 15 kilometers an hour now and try and count in 1 minute. Three, two, one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 84. Mattis is trying to follow the maths. So 84 revolutions. Okay. So we have a treadmill. We have a treadmill belt length of 2.97 meters, 297 centimeters. That's the belt length. We're going to multiply that by the number of revolutions we've done in 1 minute. So we're going to take the number of revolutions and divide that by 60 and then multiply it by the belt length. So we've got Alexa here to help us again. Alexa, hang on a minute, what was it? 84, it was 84, wasn't it? Sorry, Alexa. Yeah, all right, all right, shut up. Alexa, stop. Right, thank you. No, I don't want to, no. No, I don't want to rate Mastermind. No, stop. Okay, it was 84, wasn't it? Alexa, what is 2.97 multiplied by 84 divided by 60? 4.158 meters per second. 4.158 meters per second. Alexa, what is 4.158 meters per second in kilometers per hour? Ooh, 14.97 kilometers per hour. Again, a margin for error, possibly. Let's do 85. Alexa, what is 2.97 multiplied by 85? Oh, no, stop. Alexa, stop. Just in case I missed a revolution. Alexa, what is 2.97 multiplied by 85 divided by 60? 4.2075. Alexa, what is 4.2075 meters? No, hang on a minute. What was it? Meters per second. Meters per second. Sorry. Right, hang on. Alexa, what is 4.275 meters per second in kilometers per hour?
4.275 meters per second is
15.39, so quite a big jump there with one more revolution of the belt. The reason I'm doing that is because in order to make sure that this went all right, I did this test earlier. And I think, hang on a minute, let me just make sure. Get my laptop. I think I counted 85 last time, but I'm not entirely sure. Oh, hang on a minute. 80, yeah, 85. I've done the maths wrong. I'm sure I've done the maths wrong. Hold on a second. Heather Neal says I've got a great tan. Thank you. Louis, don't know how long there is left. It's as long as it is long. We'll just do it until we've finished, Louis. Let's try this again. Alexa, what is... No. 2.97. 2.97 is the length of the belt. Alexa, stop. Alexa, what is 2.97 multiplied by 85 divided by 60?
2.97 times 85 divided by 60 is 4.2075.
4.2075. Okay. Alexa, what is 4.2075 meters per second in kilometers per hour?
4.2075 meters per second is 15.15 kilometers per hour.
That's more like it. Okay, so I did this test earlier on and it came out, I counted 85 revolutions last time, and it came out at 15.15 kilometers per hour. Regardless, even if it was 84 revolutions of the belt, another nearly 3 meters, it would be 14.97 kilometers per hour. So really very close indeed. So the point of all that was to argue to you that I believe my treadmill belt is running at the correct speed, essentially. Margin for error, yes, but oh, sorry, I keep starting maths. This is Alexa. I'm really sorry. So when I say that I am running at 10 kilometers per hour on this treadmill, I want you to believe that, to the best of my knowledge and the best of my calculations, I am running at 10 kilometers per hour. If not, a little bit quicker, in fact. From the calculations that we've done, it seems like at 4 kilometers an hour, at 10 kilometers an hour, and at 15 kilometers an hour, we are running marginally quicker, actually, than the treadmill is saying. So I'm actually working a little bit harder than I should be, which is why I don't put my treadmill incline up to 1%. I just leave it on 0. Right, are you happy with that? Do you follow that? Have you followed that? Do you understand that? Because that's basically the crux of the matter. However, now we come to the Stryd foot pods. So let's just stop a second. So I've been doing these tests, counting the revolutions of the belt, and all the time my 2 Stryd foot pods have been on the track with me, running around the Mayfield track in this meetup. And so far, they have fallen behind. So 2 Stryd foot pods, one on my right foot, one on my left foot. One is the Stryd Wind, the newer Stryd foot pod. That is Stryd number 2. Stryd number 1 is the older Stryd foot pod, the one that was available before the Wind came out. So 2 Stryd foot pods. They are both completely uncalibrated. Now, we have done just under a kilometre. So right, all we're going to do now is I'm going to run about, let's do 5k. I'm going to do 5 kilometres of running. So I'll have a chance to chat to you. If you want to ask me some questions, say hi, or anything you want, do that now, because we'll run a gentle 5 kilometres. I'll maybe do it a bit progressive. So we'll go from 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 kilometres per hour. Let's do that, shall we? So let's start now. Actually, no, let's just walk out so that we can get, I'll get me to 1 kilometre. So I'll have done 1 kilometre and then we'll start. Mattis is going to try that test tomorrow to have a look at his treadmill belt, see if he can get it to get some kind of calibration sorted on it. So when we change to 1 kilometer done in about 6 seconds, I'll stop the treadmill. There we go. Right, we've done 1k. Jeff Huber says, what was the year you purchased your first Stryd? Gosh, my first Stryd, hang on. Was this. This is my first Stryd. And I think this was called the Pioneer. Can you see that properly? It was the Pioneer Stryd, and it was actually a chest strap, so you couldn't use it for pace or for speed. It was merely a power meter and a heart rate monitor. So you could measure your heart rate and you could measure your power, but it wasn't. You couldn't use it to run with on Zwift. It wasn't a run pod. And I got that 2015. Was it 5 years ago? Maybe. Possibly, or certainly 4 years ago anyway, 2015, 2016, and then but it wasn't long after that the first Stryd foot pods came out, and I got one of those in 2016, I think. So yes, about 4 or 5 years now. Right, let's run 5k, and we're going to see how far behind these foot pods are. They're already 13 and 29 seconds behind. We're going to start out at 9 kilometers per hour. Heather Neal says, that's a big peak you've got there on your cap. What cap are you wearing? It's an Innovate Heat something or other. I'm not sure they sell them now, actually. I've had this for about 5 years. It's an Innovate cap anyway. It's good for keeping the sun off. And it's also good for indoors. It stops the sweat dripping quite so much into my eyes. Jeff Huber says, what's the year you purchased your non-wind Stryd that you were testing with? Probably 2017. I've had it a while, that's for sure. And the wind Stryd literally about a month ago, two months ago maybe. So yeah, the original Stryd is about 3 years old. So yeah, I am open to questions, everybody. If you want to ask me anything about the Stryd foot pod, if you want to ask me anything about the calibration of the treadmill belt that we've just done, then by all means fire away. If you've got any problems with the test, the way I'm doing it, then by all means ask me and put it in the chat. Heather Neal says, what's your next big race? She said, am I doing South Downs Way 100? Yes, I'm doing South Downs Way 100 in November. Next actual race is on Sunday, this Sunday coming. I'm doing the Vanguard Way Marathon, starting in Lloyd Park in Croydon in London. And then September the 5th is the Thames Path 100 miler. So that's September the 5th is my first kind of proper big long race. But we've got the Vanguard Way Marathon this weekend. And then, yeah, it'll be the South Downs Way in November. I don't know yet whether I'll have any races in between those. So let's just have a little look at the Stryd foot pods now. We've got nothing in our way, no other runners, so we can have a clear view. Let's have a look at Apple TV. So this is Stryd number 2. This is the Stryd Wind. Heather, I will see you on the start line of the South Downs Way 100. Come and say hello if you see me. This is the Stryd 2. This is the Stryd Wind. And you can see he's running at 8.5 kilometers per hour compared to my 9 kilometers per hour. I also have, I have a comparison of all three on screen. Hang on. Right, there we go. So this is a bit clearer to see now, although it's blocking me out. On the top is me, the MyRun treadmill. So we know we've calibrated the MyRun treadmill. We know that the belt is correctly running at there or thereabouts 9 kilometers an hour, possibly a little bit quicker than 9 kilometers an hour, in fact. So we know that. The one next to it is Stryd number 2, the Wind Stryd, and that is going at 8.5 kilometers per hour. Remember, this is uncalibrated. And the one below that is my iPhone, and that has the old Stryd, and the old Stryd is going at 8.6 kilometers per hour. So you can see I've done the most distance. Oh no! Why has that gone off? Oh, I see. Messages coming through. I've done the most distance, 1.7 kilometers. Then the iPhone, the old Stryd, 1.62, and the new Stryd, 1.56. So the newer Stryd is currently uncalibrated, the slower of the three devices that we are using. Okay, so in about 300 meters, I'll just bump the speed up, go a bit quicker. Would you like me to spend time calibrating each foot pod to see if it does any... I mean, it will do better. There's no doubt that if you calibrate the foot pods, they will do better. The problem is that Stryd will tell you that you don't need to calibrate them. Now, let me start off by saying, before I get into the problems, let me start off by saying I absolutely believe that the Stryd is the best foot pod you can buy on the market right now. It is the most accurate indoors and outdoors. It is reliable, and I have no problem with the Stryd. The only problem I have is that too many people, in my opinion, say that the Stryd is perfect, and it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect. And you can see here, if the Stryd is perfect, then why do we have two quite different paces going on? It doesn't really matter what my treadmill says. What matters is what the two Stryds are saying. Now, the two Stryds, you see, what you could argue is, you could argue that, yes, the treadmill belt is going round at currently 9 kilometers an hour. Let's go up to 10 kilometers an hour though now. So we can argue that the treadmill belt is indeed going round at 10 kilometers an hour. But Stryd will argue that doesn't mean that I am running at 10 kilometers an hour. And they'll say that you're in the air for some of this time, and the treadmill belt is going underneath you whilst you're in the air, and you're not actually, I mean, you're not moving at all, are you? You're in a stationary position. So everything is a best guess. And Stryd will say they are measuring your real speed. Because you're in the air and you're not moving for that short period of time, that impacts your actual speed. Oh, I don't want to go off. I don't want to go off. Oh, that's annoying. Camera angles. Oh, that is very annoying. I did not want to go off. Right, I'm going to have to turn around and come back. Bent, Goran, Johansson, I'm not using the watch at all. The only thing I'm using the watch for is heart rate. Outdoors, there's no calibration either. So my Stryd foot pods, when I use my watch outdoors with the Stryd foot pods, I have no calibration either. But indoors here, right now, I'm not using my watch for anything other than the heart rate. So the Stryd foot pods are not connected to my watch. Right, let's turn around. And we'll try and go back. Fingers crossed we can go back on the track. Let's turn off camera angles. And it doesn't matter because you can still see the distances and the times and the speeds. Jespal Chandha, I'm using a Phoenix 6 for heart rate. I'm using the optical sensor on the watch for heart rate. But that's all I'm using it for, nothing else. Come on, please turn into the track. Oh no, so annoying. Ha. Okay, we're going to have to run further the other way then. I will get back on the track. But you can see we are still losing distance. I'm running at 10 kilometers an hour on the treadmill, 9.5 for the old Stryd, 9.4 for the new wind Stryd. And we'll increase the speed in about 400 meters. So we're doing 5 kilometers just to see how much further behind these two uncalibrated Stryds are. And remember, at the beginning of the show, at the beginning of the stream, I made sure that I calibrated the treadmill so that I knew that the treadmill, or I know that the treadmill, when it says it's doing 10 kilometers an hour, it is doing 10 kilometers an hour. Right. Now we're going to try and get back on the track again. Yeah, Brent, I never use the watch on Zwift, only for heart rate. So I'm just concentrating now to get back on the track. I'm desperately pressing the left button to hopefully move over and get on the track. Please go left. Oh, I don't think it is it? It's not going to go. This is so frustrating. Oh, yes, we are. Oh, thank goodness for that. We are going on the track. Okay, good. Okay. Now I've turned camera angles off, so we won't be going off the track again. Hopefully. I'll get my two Stryds back. There we go. But remember that even though they're kind of ahead of me, I am ahead in terms of distance. So I've done 2.9 kilometers. Stryd number 1 has done 2.8. Stryd number 2 has done 2.7. So we're going to speed up again in a minute. Speed up to 11 kilometers an hour now. Right, Leslie Aldridge, I missed this earlier, sorry. Leslie says, calibrated my Stryd wind the other day. It fluctuates quite a bit, but overall not too bad.
treadmill set to 5 minutes per kilometre, and my first run was 5:02 per kilometre, and the second one was 5:07 with the Stryd. So that's not too bad, I guess. Yeah. The thing is, all this really does depend on how much you trust your treadmill. Now, like I say, you've seen me do the calibration test, and I know that my belt is running at the correct speed. So what it displays, 11 kilometers an hour, is what the belt is doing. But you may have a treadmill which you know is not very good. And so then you have to make a choice. Do you carry on using the treadmill speed, or do you accept the speed that the Stryd is giving you, or do you calibrate the Stryd so it matches the treadmill? In which case you might, if you're calibrating the Stryd to match the treadmill, then the Stryd is wrong as well as the treadmill, isn't it? You're not accurate, you're just calibrating the Stryd to be wrong as well. So you need to work out what you trust the most. Another way to do that is with heart rate and perceived effort. So if you're running 10 kilometers and outdoors you can run 10 kilometers in 1 hour, but indoors you're running 10 kilometers in an hour and 5 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes, or the other way, you're running in 50 minutes, then you know something's not right. I mean, for the same effort. So say you've got an average heart rate of 160 beats per minute for a 10k run outdoors, which is done in an hour. On a treadmill, you should be doing the same 10 kilometer run with an average heart rate still around about 60 BPM in 1 hour. That's how it should be. A lot of people will tell you it's harder on a treadmill. That's because they're using rubbish treadmills. That's because they've got a room which is closed with no ventilation, and the heat is making their heart rate go up and making them feel like they're working harder. But more often than not, it is just because their treadmill is not up to the job, and they're having to drag the treadmill belt around, making them work harder. So what you want to get to is a state where your indoor runs, as best as possible, match your outdoor runs in terms of average HR and time over a specific given distance. Damien Freeman says, my Stryd footpod fluctuates wildly. Is it best to connect via ANT Plus or Bluetooth? Another very good question. And to be honest, it kind of depends on your setup. And they are both perfectly capable. Now, I tend to lean towards Bluetooth. I tend to find I get fewer dropouts with Bluetooth. If anybody has seen my wife running on Zwift, she has to use ANT Plus for her heart rate because she's got an older watch. So she broadcasts her heart rate using ANT Plus. And the amount of dropouts that we get on ANT Plus is huge. But you can see my red line here at the bottom. That's my heart rate. No dropouts at all. However, I have had before some quite bad dropouts from my Stryd footpod on Bluetooth connected to my iPhone. It doesn't seem to be happening today, but it has happened before. So there's that. Cyclists on Zwift tend to swear by ANT Plus. So take your pick, try both of them out, and see which one seems to work better for you. You know, sometimes they're both working on the 2.4 gigahertz signal, so they can both suffer from interference from other devices. The thing about Bluetooth is It operates within a bandwidth within the 2.4 gigahertz range, whereas Ant Plus can only work on one specific frequency in the 2.4 gigahertz range. So it's got less flexibility to move around if there are problems, whereas Bluetooth can move around a variety of frequencies within the 2.4 gigahertz range. I hope that wasn't too complex a mess for you. Right, we're going to go up again now. 12 kilometers per hour for the last kilometer. No, where are we up to now? Oh yeah, we'd already done 1 kilometer, hadn't we? So we've got 2k to go. And Jasper says, would you not prefer to use the Zwift Run over the Stryd Wind? No. I think what I'd prefer to do, if I have a treadmill which I trust, then I would calibrate my Stryd Wind foot pod to match my treadmill. That's if I have a treadmill that I trust. And I do. I trust this treadmill. In my specific case, I don't need to use a Stryd foot pod because my treadmill connects directly to Zwift anyway. So I don't need to use a Stryd foot pod. But if it was a choice of the Stryd over the Run Smart treadmill sensor, I would choose the Stryd. I still think even though they're both losing time here, even though they're both dropping off the back of me, you can see I've done 4.3, Stryd 1 has done 4.1, Stryd 2 has only just hit 4 kilometers. So it's quite a difference over 5k with the uncalibrated Stryds. But calibrated to a trusted device, I would still go with the Stryd. Neil Messenger, hello buddy. Paul Schroeder says, I did mine on a running track and running machine says 1 kilometer faster than my Stryd, but it's consistent every time. So I think the Stryd is correct and I just use the Stryd for inside and out. Paul, my question to you is, how do you feel? What's your heart rate like? So when you're running indoors, using the Stryd foot pod as your go-to speed source, is it harder work than outside? How much higher is your heart rate? Or is it the same? Can you do, what's your 5k and your 10k time? Can you do your 5k and your 10k time indoors the same as outdoors? Because you should be able to. I can. I'm happy that the pace of my treadmill indoors and my perceived effort and my heart rate match my outdoor perceived effort and heart rate, and speed and distance and time outdoors and indoors is comparable in my opinion on this setup. Tina Beard says, my treadmill is old and I know it drags. I do find it harder than outdoors. I read the article you posted today and it makes a lot of sense. Yes, so if you haven't seen, I did post an article today about this, well, not about this, but kind of related to this. Just saying that don't worry too much about distance, especially indoors. Worry about your heart rate zones, how hard you're working, perceived effort, that kind of thing. And if you're able to use power is a really good one as well from the Stryd. Especially if your treadmill is rubbish, don't worry about how far you're running. Worry about the effort that you're putting in, because that's more important. But go and read the article. It is on the Zwift blog now, and it is linked on the Zwift Runners Facebook page if you want to go and check it out. Right, we're coming up to the final increase now. So we're going to have done 5k. So we've got 1k to go, and I'll bump it up to 13 kilometers per hour on the treadmill. And we'll see at the end how much further back the two Stryd foot pods have gone. and then we'll think about whether to calibrate them or not, whether that will take too much time and whether we can be bothered. Right, there's 5 kilometers, so let's go up to 13 kilometers per hour. So any more questions? I am watching Facebook chat, I'm watching YouTube chat, and if you're watching on Twitch, feel free to drop me a question. I can see Twitch chat as well. Got a kilometre to go, and then we need to have a chat and think about if we're going to do something else in this little test. Huber, yeah, no, I did not. So as I've said before, both the strides are uncalibrated, which is good news for you if you've got a stride. Because if they were calibrated and they were this far off, then we'd be worrying, wouldn't we? Huber, also, if you didn't see the beginning of the stream, at the beginning of the show, a calibration test of my treadmill. So I did some mathematical equations to work out the speed of my treadmill belt. Because sometimes, even though here it says that I'm going 13 kilometers an hour, sometimes the belt speed itself, the real actual speed of the belt, is different and is not the same as the display. So I measured the treadmill belt, and then we carried out a little test, did a little mathematical equation to work out that yes, in fact, my treadmill belt is going the correct speed. In fact, it's going a little tiny bit quicker. So I am actually running, well, again, let's not, there's a lot of little things about this, but we are running at approximately 13 kilometers an hour. That is the way it is. In terms of perceived effort, in terms of matching how it feels, heart rate as well, indoors and outdoors, for the same distance, then I am running at 13 kilometers per hour. Okay, Gus Nelson, who is the boss of Stryd. Hi, Gus. Gus is just posting the Fell Runner article, which is a very well-known article where Fell Runner has tested a lot of devices and came to the conclusion with a lot of data that the Stryd footpod is more accurate over distance than any other device tested. It was done a few years ago now. It is getting slightly dated, but it's still worth a look. It's still worth reading and looking at the testing he did. So I'll just read out what Gus has said. It is important to note that the overall length of the belt is irrelevant information when verifying the runner's true speed when running on a treadmill. You can only count the speed applied to the runner when the runner is in contact with the belt. So this is what I explained before about when you're in the air and the belt is moving below you. So where was I up to? A slow motion video capture with a marked distance on the belt is the only way to verify this. See Fell Runner's post for more information. So what Gus is saying, the Stryd argument is that even though I've calibrated my treadmill, even though I know that the belt is going at 13 kilometers per hour, my true running speed, my real speed, is actually slower than that. Because when I'm in the air, I'm not moving at all. And the treadmill belt is underneath me, moving. And the Stryd footpod is not measuring that movement. So my argument countering that is that that doesn't matter. You're still putting the effort in. The work is still being done. And the work is still being done as though it were 13 kilometers an hour. The work is, you're still You're still at effort, even when you're in the air. The difference is outside, when you're in the air outside, you're still moving forward. Your momentum is carrying you forward. Whereas on the treadmill belt, when you're in the air, you're literally stationary. Gus says, thank you for your testing, Stephen. We always appreciate the willingness of Strides to test Stryd in every condition to verify the accuracy of the Stryd. Louis says, how good is the Wahoo Ticker heart rate monitor? Well, they've released a new one recently, which I haven't tested. The Wahoo Ticker has always been a really popular heart rate monitor. And, we're well over 6 kilometers now, aren't we? So we can slow down. We'll go to walking pace. So, yeah, the Wahoo Ticker and Ticker X, Ticker Run and Ticker X have always been very popular Bluetooth heart rate monitors. Do they broadcast in ANT Plus as well? Certainly, probably the new one does anyway. I haven't had a chance to test the new one. They haven't sent me one. I haven't got enough subscribers to be sent free stuff these days. But yeah, so I would certainly give it a go though. They are really popular. There is the arm one as well, which is really good. But I haven't personally tested them. I just know that they've got a lot of respect in the industry. A lot of people like using them. Okay. So here's the question. Do you want your speed on Zwift to match the speed of your treadmill? Because it's very satisfying when it does. Whether you're going the correct speed or not is debatable, highly debatable, and it's entirely up to you. I have to say that the personal satisfaction it gives me to see number 13 on the treadmill display and number 13 on the Zwift display, that gives me a lot of satisfaction. I'm confident that the treadmill belt is running at the speed it says it's running at. It's actually running a little bit quicker, so I'm actually working a bit harder. Gus is completely correct. Gus Nelson, the boss of Stryd, is completely correct. When you're in the air on a treadmill, you are stationary. You're not moving at all. Whereas when you're in the air outdoors, your momentum is carrying you forward, so you have movement forward. So, strictly speaking, my real running speed is slower than the treadmill is saying. But to me, that's also irrelevant because the effort, the what you call the RPE, or your perceived exertion, your perceived effort, is the same as the treadmill speed. It's not the same as the Stryd. If you were to match your speed to the Stryd, you'd be working an awful lot harder, in my opinion. But that also is means that you've got to have a treadmill that you trust as well. If most people are running on poor treadmills, on low quality domestic grade treadmills, which do indeed have poor motors, which do make you work a lot harder, and your heart rate will be higher and your perceived exertion will be higher. And then when you add the Stryd into that equation, and it measures your real, true running speed, then you're going to be even slower than that, and you're going to be even working even harder. So when you run on a treadmill and you feel that it's harder, it probably is harder, but it shouldn't be. If you've got a decent treadmill, if you've got a treadmill that you trust that is running at the correct speed, then your speed indoors and your speed outdoors and your average heart rate indoors, your average heart rate outdoors, your perceived exertion indoors and outdoors should be approximately the same. And that's how I feel on this treadmill. Now, I love the Stryd, and outdoors it's fantastic. Indoors, it's really good as well. I mean, it's not that far. Look, so over 6 kilometers, 6 kilometers, we've lost 200 meters to the uncalibrated old Stryd. So the old Stryd, that is Stryd number 1. That's the Stryd I've had for about 4 years. We've lost about 200 meters. It's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not massive. And if you were to calibrate it, then you could get it exact to the treadmill if that's what you want. So it's not that far off, and it's certainly way better than loads of other foot pods. You know, the Zwift pod, the Polar Stryd sensor will be nowhere near. The only one that might come close is the Garmin foot pod, but the Garmin foot pod is subject to some wild, crazy variations sometimes. And the only other thing that will come close is a very well positioned Run Smart treadmill sensor. Placed on the back or the front of your treadmill belt, measuring the speed of your treadmill belt. And again, Gus will tell you that is not your true running speed. That's the speed of the belt running underneath you. Now, hang on, where are we? Louis says, can we put the music back on? All right. We're finished, I think. I don't think what I was thinking of doing was calibrating the two strides, but we'll do that another time. I think we've had an hour of work. We've done fine. We've shown some things. I've shown you how to calibrate your treadmill so that you can see whether your treadmill is running at the correct speed or not and matching the display. We've tested 2 different Stryd foot pods uncalibrated, the Stryd 1, the old Stryd, and the Stryd 2, which is the new Wind Stryd. You can see that the Wind Stryd is quite a lot further behind, 400 metres or so behind me, and 200 metres or so behind Stryd number 1. Why that is, I don't know. That's the other problem we haven't mentioned really is Gus is telling you that your real speed is what the Stryd is telling you, and that's fine. So, but which Stryd am I going to believe then? Am I going to believe Stryd 1 or am I going to believe Stryd 2? Gus, if you're still watching, what can you give me some explanation for that? Which Stryd do I believe in this instance? Like I say, neither calibrated, so but they've both measured a different speed. Now, yes, they're on different feet. They may be slightly differently placed. They're placed as well as I could. But what do you think? Let me know if you are still watching. Which Stryd would you believe? Which Stryd should I move forward with, as it were? Is that all right for music there? There we go. Oh yes, sorry. I should have done that. Uber is asking me to put the screen back on, which shows the distance between the two. There we go. So, the MyRun treadmill, we've covered 6.36 kilometers. The Stryd Wind has covered 5.96 kilometers, and the old Stryd foot pod has covered 6.11 kilometers. Paul Schroeder says, that's where you need the running track. Surely the newer ones are more improved. Maybe, yeah, Paul, maybe they are. We do, yeah. I mean, outside you could go around a running track, but again, you need to know that the running track is measured correctly. Gus has previously mentioned that they have found running tracks which are wrong. So that although they say they're 400 meters, they're not 400 meters. So it's very difficult. I mean, not very few people are going to do this, are they? Very few people are going to go to the lengths that we are going to work out whether their Stryd foot pod is doing what it says it's doing, or is correct or not. All they're doing is they're putting their Stryd on their foot and they're going out running and they're getting what they're given. I'd be surprised if anyone really, if many people go to any great lengths to work out how accurate their Stryd foot pod is, or how accurate their treadmill is. How many people are measuring their treadmill belt? How many people are doing that maths calculation to work out how fast their treadmill belt is compared to the display of the treadmill? Louis says, when is parkrun back? Nobody knows. They're still having meetings about risk assessment and all that kind of thing, and it's all to do with England athletics as well. So we don't know when parkrun will be back. Yeah, Paul, I know you have. I'm saying, the wider public, the wider Stryd users. How many people are doing that? It's people like you and me and Tim Gross and Gus who are going out doing these things and trying to work out where they sit, you know. Kevin White says, darn, missed the start and this interests me. We'll watch from the start later. Yeah, do watch from the very beginning when I do the calibration of the treadmill itself. Huber says, there are a lot of people distance obsessed with accuracy. Yes, and that's the other problem, isn't it? That maybe we shouldn't be so obsessed with accuracy, and maybe it is perceived effort that matters. Maybe it is heart rate that matters, because that's where the work is, you know. And if you are using this Stryd, maybe it's power that matters. We've not looked at power at all today because Zwift is not really focused on power for runners yet. So when they are, when they are focused on power for runners, then we can do a bit more work on how the Stryd is with power and how that comes out. But you know, maybe we need to be a little less focused on how exactly to the meter your run is. You don't need to have run exactly 10 kilometers, whether it's 9.5 kilometers or 10.5 kilometers. Doesn't really matter. What matters is whether you were in zone 4 of your heart rate. What really matters is whether you managed to hit 300 watts for the full extent of the run. What matters is whether you felt like you were working hard. That's what matters. Gus has posted. It is also possible that one foot is running slower than the other when running on the treadmill. If you run heavier on one side, that leg will be slower due to a result of belt slowdown. Yeah, that's true. Both pods are reporting within spec. If you want an accurate measure in the case you use 2 pods, take the average. Okay, so there we go. So that's what... Gus is saying that both the Stryd foot pods are reporting within, are we saying like an average spec of what they should be? So given there is a margin of error, therefore, that Stryd are allowing for, and we're saying, or Gus is saying, I think Gus is saying that 5.9 and 6.1 are good enough margins of error, and so what you would do is you would take the average of those two in between, so about 6 kilometers. So my treadmill says I've done 6. My treadmill says I've done 6.36. One foot pod says 5.96. One foot pod says 5.11. So we've taken out. It's going to be around about 6.03 or something like that. Around about that, isn't it? Definitely slower than my treadmill says, and as we've discussed, there are reasons for that. I'm not going to go over it again. We've done it now. We're done now. That's the test done. If you want to go back and have a look at what we did before, so look at the calibration of the treadmill itself, but then look at the explanations from Gus, from myself, about why the Stryd is reading slower than the treadmill, even though we've said that the treadmill belt is correct in terms of what it's saying. Stryd are arguing that their foot pod is correct in what they're saying, and there are reasons for that. Go and have a look at the treadmill. Go and have a look at the rest of the video back on YouTube or back on Facebook for that. Barry Allen says, could you check with 2 of the same Stryd foot pods? I did do that with 2 of the old foot pods. So there is a video on YouTube. If you go back and look on the Film My Run YouTube channel, there is a video I did a couple of years ago now, or maybe a year ago, with 2 of the older Stryd foot pods. You can go and have a look at that. When I get another wind, I will test both 2 separate winds together. Tina Beard says her brain is numb. Yeah, we've gone on far too long and talked far too much. And Paul Schroeder says his testing comment is above that I missed. Sorry, Paul, I can't see it now. I'll have to scroll down. Hang on. Huber says, every person I know who has purchased a Stryd has tried to figure out how accurate it is. They purchased the Stryd as they wanted higher accuracy than GPS. That's another argument we're going to have at some stage in the future. My personal feeling is that the Stryd foot pod and GPS are pretty much comparable. but I do a lot of trail running. Whether there's a difference there, I don't know. Paul, I can't see, Paul, where your comment is. Paul, I'll have to have a look back at your comments. I'm sorry, I can't see it now. I think we're out of time. That's us done. Thank you very much for watching. Please, if you've missed any of it, if you're interested in the calibration of the treadmill or how both of the Stryd foot pods did against the calibrated treadmill, then by all means, please go and re-watch the video from the beginning. But that is it from me. Join me tomorrow, Friday. What do we do on Friday? I have no idea. Can't remember what we do on Friday, but we'll be back tomorrow night with something live, and we'll be racing or running a workout. So we'll see you tomorrow live on the Zwift Run Live YouTube channel and the Film My Run Facebook page. Thank you very much for all your comments. Thank you especially to Gus for popping in on that. Really appreciated, Gus. And we'll see you all again for another one next time. Take care. Bye-bye.